All right. So one of the women that I admire a lot and who really inspires me is my friend and fellow coach, Rose Gill. And so Rose, the reason she inspires me, I actually have 3 bullet points, Rose. One, her dedication to living into the mysteries of life. And I'm hoping that later in our conversation, she can share a little bit about that with the rest of you. Rose has a way of speaking into my life and creating and holding space for growth in her coaching. And that's been very valuable to me, especially over the last 4 years as I've tried to grow more as a coach and more as a human, as a human being. And I would say the last thing, and of course, anyone who listens to Rose on our podcasts and when we're having conversations already know this. She's a great listener and a great conversationalist. So I really am glad to have you in my life, Rose.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. That was a very nice introduction, but thank you.
Yeah. So in moments of doubt, what practices or beliefs do you use to help reconnect with your inner strength?
Okay. So I will answer this in 2 parts. First, I have about 4 core beliefs, and then I have a couple practices that I feel like I use to help support that core belief when there's like a need for it, if you so to speak. So the first thing is, one of my core beliefs is that everything is in some form of divine order. That even at the time that I might be going through something, there is I will look back later and see that there's some dots that will be connected. So at that moment, I might not see it, but I trust that there's going to be some unfolding that will explain why this is happening. So that's like the first thing I hold on to. The second is the realization that everything is temporary. So especially in those moments where it's tough and I don't want to be going through what I'm going through, I accept that it is temporary. Now, temporary could be a couple hours, it could be days, it could be months, but it is just temporary nonetheless. I look at it as a season. And I know at some point I will be able to sort of make it through, grow through it, and then it'll pass. So that's another thing, so that there's not this sort of constant doubt or constant discomfort, depending on what I'm experiencing. The third is purpose and value. I connect the two. They're separate, but I connect the two. So I believe that my life, my journey is for a purpose, not just for myself, but for people around me, my loved ones, people in the larger society, and that whatever I'm going through is purposeful in order to make me grow as a person. Even though, I'll admit there are times I'm like, I don't feel like growing, but it makes me grow, and I see that there's value to it. And I think that the purpose and value also, it's one of those things where you see clearer when you look back. So it's that sort of trust. And the fourth thing is strength. I try to remind myself, and sometimes I say it over and over again, that I'm stronger than what I'm going through. As hard as it is, as gut-wrenching it as it may be, I am strong enough and I will get to the other side. But I think, again, that the challenge is always when you're in it. The vision that comes to me is when you're in a storm, right? Like, and everything's swirling around you. You're not able to have that sort of like, well, it's a divine order, it's temporary. You feel adrift, you feel confused, you feel disquieted, but it's sort of, I hold on to them like strings. Even if it's a tiny string, a tethered string, I still hold on to it, because it's the thing that helps me sort of keep moving. And so while I have those 4 core beliefs, there's certain things I practically do, what I call like practical things to help me make up that difference between what I'm experiencing and what my beliefs are, which is, first, and I've learned to do this more so in the last 4 years, which is mindful breathing. And it's because at that time I might start to feel overwhelmed. I could feel sort of sometimes my body, my core responding. I might, tighten up, depending on what the news is and what I'm experiencing. And I just breathe sometimes, literally, to sort of create some amount of space to remind myself that, you know, it's okay. I can work with this, and I can work with it in tiny bits, right? Not, you know, I can get through the next second, I can get through the next minute. But also what the breath does is it anchors me. It anchors me. So instead of sort of getting caught up in the wave, I'm able to sort of anchor myself for that moment and say, okay, what is the next tiny step you can actually make towards holding on, towards working through whatever you're presented with? And then the other piece is, and I mentioned this a little bit with the space with the breathing, but also one of the things I'm not sure how I developed this skill, but I don't respond or react right away. I think it's very rare for me to do so. Because, you know, there's certain things I sort of remember being told as a child, you know, sometimes sorry won't fix it, and those type of things. So and I understand that if I'm angry and I respond when I'm angry or scared or disappointed or whatever the emotion I might be experiencing, that is probably a high probability I'm going to regret it. So I first force myself, as painful as it is, to go through those emotions and to get to some point where I can articulate. Because I'm sure, like a lot of people, you know, your emotions, what you're experiencing in your body, and sometimes you can't verbally even articulate to yourself. So the best way is to just allow yourself time. I mean, there are moments when you're going to have to make split split decisions. I'm not really speaking about those topics, but I think most of the time we do have some amount of time. It might just be a couple hours, it might be a couple days, but I think that that's been a big recipe for helping me stay anchored, that the idea that I don't have to make this decision right now. And I give myself the time to go through the emotions. And so
Yeah.
that's sort of how I handle things generally. I'm not 100% perfect at it. I have responded right away, and those moments I have regretted. And so those are the moments I recall back. Like, do you want to do this, and regret it, and not be able to move back from it? Because I also recognize that while I'm in an emotional state, I'm not in my most constructive state.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you for sharing that. So are you
You're
ready for the lightning round?
sure. Yeah, why not?
All right.
Yes.
So what's one word that defines your approach to life?
Intentional.
Mm.
Intentional.
What is your go-to for self-care?
This might sound funny, but power nap.
Oh, I like it. I like naps. What book or movie has profoundly impacted
Mhm.
you?
So I would say The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's a book of poetry, and it was given to me on my 16th birthday by my dad. And it talks about sort of different conditions that people find themselves in. It speaks on love, on marriage, on work, on friendship, different things. And there is an eloquence and a sort of spirituality about the poetry that has always grabbed me. And for that reason, he's my favorite poet. I mean, I have others like Mary Oliver, but I think Khalil Gibran has just always spoken to me.
Mm. Um, what is your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
I have two actually, depends. Soft music, listen to soft music, sort of like in classic, sometimes jazz, depends. If I'm really, if I really need to come down even more, sometimes nothing. I just silence. I
Mm.
don't put on anything. I just enjoy silence.
Can you share a habit that's been key to your personal growth?
So this would be the mindful breathing. For multiple reasons. Number one, to slow everything down, and also to allow me to decide what is the next step to make.
Mm. What's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
Hmm. Relax and trust.
Ooh. What's your favorite inspirational quote?
So this is from his name is Marcus Tullius Cicero, and it says silence is one of the great acts of conversation.
Let's see here. How do you define success in life?
Mm. Quality relationships.
What's one small act of kindness that's made a big impact on you?
Mm. So I've had many, but I would actually say coaching with you because, we first started barter coaching and then we just sort of do it because we've grown and enjoyed having our weekly conversation. And that has really helped me grow in so many ways. I mean, there's no way for me to answer it. I don't even think, I mean, it keeps unfolding to me on ways in which I get to see myself better and respond better and be a better communicator, a better connector to people in my life. And I just see things from a different perspective. So I would say my sessions with you.
Hmm. And I feel exactly the same way, Rose. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the dream destination that speaks to your soul?
Bath, England. I
All
would
right,
love
because
to.
I'm nosy. Why is that?
Um, it's well, there's a lot of parts of England I would love to see, but Bath has it's renowned for its bookstores, and as I'm an avid reader, it also is where you would find the Roman baths when Rome had once conquered England. Well, it wasn't called, I don't believe it was called England at that time, but and just the history of it. And I'm a lover of history. I'm a lover of the past. It always amazes me that people lived before and they walked those same streets. So I'm just fascinated to see it, and it's supposed to be very quaint. So it's definitely one of the places I will be soon visiting.
Hmm. Rose, thank you for sharing some of your time with us.
Thank you.